Welcome to Makers in the Library, a toolkit designed to help public libraries build community-driven makerspaces. Through this initiative, we wanted to combat the notion that you need a big budget or a dedicated space with fancy equipment to have the spirit of making come alive in your community. Because we know that the heart of a makerspace is really about the people, and that wonderful things can happen when you provide the time and space for their curiosity and love of learning to flourish. So the stories you are about to hear are drawn from some of the 10 public libraries throughout the state of California that were part of a 3-year pilot project where we collaboratively defined a process for developing a sustainable maker program and created a set of tools to share with other libraries who might be eager to do the same. The first phase of this process is to listen and discover. This involves going out into the community to hear from your patrons and potential partners about what they would like to see in a library community-driven makerspace.
It allowed staff, patrons, and partners to have a voice in the process of designing these makerspaces, which really needed to reflect the needs of the community. So it was a tremendously valuable activity, not only for the project, for the staff, but for me as an evaluator. And I think is essential when you're looking at a diverse cohort of organizations to really involve them in the evaluation and data collection process.
I think too often when libraries start to engage in library programming, we tend to focus on what's easiest for staff in reference to supplies and programming. And sometimes we kind of neglect or overlook or maybe not even think of our community members. So by having the focus groups, we were able to kind of create a partnership where we were creating community-focused, community-based programming. Versus before, we kind of felt, okay, we have X amount of staff members. Let's have events where it's not so staff intensive. Versus the community provided feedback saying, well, we don't mind helping facilitate with the maker programming as long as we can have a say in what you guys are doing.
Before launching into the development of a full maker program, we encourage brainstorming and prototyping ideas. Expansive thinking, creative thinking. What might this look like and will it work? Not blowing your budget on one big idea, but testing several ideas and finding out what's most successful.
So we started looking at things that were small that we could implement. We came up with 5 prototypes. Throughout the 5 programs, we learned a little bit more about what specifically we needed to focus on. And one of the things that we really learned that was very successful was that robotics. That was the one thing that our community wanted and our community really needed.
With the prototype, you can test the time of day, the setting, the types of materials, the duration of the project. There's many things you can examine and through the test learn more so that your project and your activities can work more smoothly.
During the implement phase, you are taking what you learn from your prototypes and now setting goals and creating an action plan to get things done. And this is a phase where you're really starting to think about what activities you're going to do, how you want to facilitate them, how you want to staff them, and some of the logistics around the operations of the space.
Early in the project was that this was a huge endeavor. This was a 3-year project. So we had to come up with a plan to have an overall plan of what we wanted to do. We also had to figure out our budget, how we were going to pay for the things that we wanted to do. We also needed to include staff and figure out how staff going from where they were, which was not really knowing about a makerspace movement in our particular area, and making them experts in terms of being able to feel comfortable learning new technologies and moving that forward into our community.
Once you have your program up and running, you want to start creating habits around reflecting on what happened after each program and activity so that you can learn from it and make continuous improvement along the way. we chart out in this toolkit a way to create a logic model or a larger long-term plan of what your outcomes will be in this space, but then also give you tools for doing smaller evaluations day to day in various ways that really are relatable to your patrons.
So when we started doing the programs, we actually offered a lot of variety just to see what people are interested in. But after we started like noticing what they would put on the feedback sheets, like the surveys, that's when we started like focusing more on art, on manga, on a lot of technology stuff. So like VR programs, they are very into like exploring new technology, which is great. Like when we started out, it was, yeah, they came for the pizza, but after a while they started like asking me, oh, can I teach this class? Can I like do this thing? And there's like acrylic pour paint, and these are just teens just coming up to you and being excited about a project that they want to teach other teens, which is so awesome. So far we've done one class and it's been very successful, and more teens are coming up to me and saying, I want to do that too, which is.
But again, one of the issues with libraries now is that libraries, like many institutions, are changing the nature of who they are and who they serve and what their mission is. So, and a lot of feedback that we had about this process was that it helped the librarians think differently about their own roles as professionals. You know, they're there connecting with their constituency more. It's not just a transactional activity, it's more holistic. So in that respect, I think there is a greater opportunities for librarians through this process to reflect not only on maker activities, but to reflect on their own role, changing role as librarians, and the role of the library, which is changing as we speak.
We're committing to a sustainable program. Amplify and Grow is a phase where you are bringing in participants, you're telling people about the program, you're building it up, and you're also bringing in new resources. You may be fundraising, writing grants, and developing your capacity to deliver this for long term.
Be able to connect with city folks and other community organizations that love where they live and know how important community is. We've been encouraged through the toolkit that you guys are going to be able to review, of being able to just encourage all of us, as I'm part of the community too, all of us to take a step forward and really see what we can build without millions and hundreds and thousands of dollars. So it's doable. And especially when there are folks in the community that love making as much as the folks here in Vallejo do.
So from phase one of let's just investigate the possibility to, okay, now we're going to actually create space, to now we're creating events, to the community is now interested, to seeing, you know, having the photos of different families and multi-generations of people doing our different maker events. It's been really, I would say, uplifting, inspiring in reference to seeing how little programs can help, you know, bring people together as well as create, well, maybe help us discover that we do have creative people within our community, but they just needed a catalyst or an avenue in which to show their creative pursuits, as well as to network and meet like-minded people.
Does your public library have a maker program? We invite you to download the toolkit, join our network, and celebrate your local community of makers.